on to the last movie. This is the theater release of Machete, directed by Robert Rodriguez. So this is a movie. Started out as a movie trailer, a fake trailer in the Grindhouse series when they did Death Proof and Planet Terror as their little Quentin Tarantino stuff. So they made a 5-minute trailer, not even that, like a 2.5 minute trailer. Yeah. And Robert Rodriguez said, I'm going to make a movie out of this. So they wrote a plot to this. You got Danny Trejo, who plays the main star, Machete, is a
Federale.
Federale. He's an ex-Federale whose family's killed by Steven Seagal, the drug lord.
Torres,
yeah. And it's just kind of a revenge play. He's given up on it, and all of a sudden, what's his name? Robert De Niro. It's all about the crossing the border of immigration. He's he's headlining this new electric fence to keep immigration to a minimum and all the illegals out. And Danny Trejo just kind of accidentally gets involved in the assassination plot, which also happens to be a part of Steven Seagal involved, and he gets back wrapped up into what he was at the very beginning and getting revenge for his family. And it's just, it's a Rodriguez film. It's a bunch of violence and nudity, and less nudity in this than most.
Yeah,
still
less
there.
than Sin City, I guess.
Yeah, still there, but yeah, this movie was a lot of fun. I understand it was tough because he had these little scenes to put in there from the trailer that just had to make sense, so he just had to write things in. But there's just a really legit plot for this kind of movie. Like, these kind of movies, normally you just think, they just hash it up and they could just do whatever they wanted, but I think they actually took time to write a decent plot. I was actually invested in the plot of him, being an immigrant worker, all of a sudden getting into an assassination plot, who then has to go get revenge for his family. It all worked together. It flowed seamlessly. We had Jessica Alba in it as a immigration officer who's there to catch the illegals, and Michelle Rodriguez, who's a Che Guevara wannabe, which was a
revolutionary.
Yeah, and that's what it was. There's people getting limbs cut off and some really outrageous violence
decapitation.
Just doing like pirouettes and like 10 heads come off. And, but I expected this, and I was really happy for all of it. And even some of the more, I guess we say lame parts were still interesting to me. They're still slow moving, trying to progress a plot that probably doesn't need progressing, but I still enjoyed it.
Okay, so what grade?
Oh yeah, B+.
B+. I gave it a C+. And I think this movie is interesting for some reasons, but I think it really has a lot of problems. I think there's too much going on in this movie. This movie was, originally supposed to be like a grindhouse exploitation schlocky sort of thing, and I think if it had stuck with that and tried to keep it simple and stupid, it would have accomplished what it was going for more. What Robert Rodriguez did here, he has this whole political backdrop to this movie about immigration and the illegal stuff and kind of the post-Obama election sort of atmosphere. And for that, I think it's interesting as far as being an artifact of these times. You can kind of look back at this movie saying this is what was in the political dialogue at the time. For the movie, it really slows it down. It really overcomplicates things. And there's so many characters in this movie that every 15 minutes they're introducing another character and another character and another. There's like 4 villains in this movie, and you don't know which one is the biggest villain. What's one we're supposed to really worry about? And halfway through the movie, I'm just thinking, how are they going to wrap all of this stuff up? And the middle stretch of the movie just really slugs because of that, because they keep going back to all these different plot threads, and they have to eventually tie them together, tie them up in one way or another. And it really just slows down this movie that should have been a lean, just total schlockfest gore, something more like Planet Terror. Yeah. But with this whole political backdrop, I think he had something he wanted to say, and he had an opinion about something, and that's fine. That's his opinion, whether you agree with it or not. It's understandable where he's coming from, living where he does in Texas, and blah blah blah. And I think if he wanted to do a movie about that, he should have done a movie about that and kept it straight faced and do something more on a serious level. But to try and fit all of this other stuff and all of these characters and all of these plot threads in what should have been just been a dumb exploitation movie, the movie is erratic. It just doesn't know what it wants to be because, as you were saying, you were surprised at how plotted the movie was, and I think that's to the movie's detriment. It falls off the tracks. The characters, none of them really get really well developed because there's just too many of them. I mean, okay, so we have Danny Trejo, Michelle Rodriguez, Robert De Niro, Jessica Alba, Steven Seagal, Lindsay Lohan, Tom Savini, Jeff Fahey, Cheech Marin, and Don Johnson. Those are your main players, and then there's still more characters after that. It's an interesting movie, and it's definitely better than his kid stuff. Thank you, Robert. But it's just I don't have to own it. I don't even really know if I have to see it again.
Yeah.
And I think he could do better, and he's done better. So it's sort of a mixed bag.
Gotcha. All right. So just to reiterate, Robert Rodriguez, no kids films. Just stop with those. We've already told you once, so don't get a conscience and start another one.
Well, and I think the reason Machete turned out to be the way it ended up being is because he's hungry to do something. He's hungry to do something with substance. And I think if he wants to do something with substance, he should just do it.
Just do it. All right. So.